Hey everyone, it's Tessa. For those who did not read my blog this past Monday, I decided to record a video today instead of writing a post because I got a couple of questions sent in by a reader about Purple Moon, and I decided to answer them through video format and give you the opportunity to send in questions as well. I have this little bowl right here with some of your questions. I'm going to be reading them and answering them to the best of my ability. I will probably post another Q&A sometime soon, so you can send me more questions if you want. I can't promise I'm going to answer all of them in all of my videos, but I will try my best, and if I don't, then I could write a blog post. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for everyone who sent in a question. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle the questions around and see which one I draw first. Sarah asks, how do you choose names for your characters? For me, usually one comes to me whenever I'm brainstorming for my book. I do like to choose unique names and names that have to do like with the plot, and I always look up the meaning of the name because I don't know, I just like the symbolism behind that. For Selena, I was at the beach at the time that I was brainstorming for the book, and the family that we were staying with, the youngest daughter, she was about 7 years old. Her name was Selena, except it was spelled with a C. But I just really liked that name, and so I decided to use that as the character of my book. And while I was writing it, after I'd already established the whole Purple Moon title and scene in the book has to do with Purple Moon, I looked up her name and realized that the meaning of her name was moon. And so, of course, I had to incorporate that into my book. And since then, I've been looking up the meanings of every name that I choose for my characters. The next question is by S. Brightly, and she asks, how do you go about revising a novel? Well, so first of all, I write a bare bone first draft, which is basically I write a very fast draft and I leave out many details because I see the story in my head and I want to write it down so quickly before it goes anywhere. And I know that it's going to be sloppy, but it's fine because at least I'm getting the words on the page, and at least I'm getting the story on the page, and I can later go back and add details and rearrange plots and rearrange scenes and cut scenes, and then I go back and I rewrite a lot. I cut out a lot of scenes. I add a lot of detail, and then once I do that several times, it's the editing and revision stages for me. And during those stages, it's really hard for me, but I still very much enjoy it. I just love seeing my story actually come to life and become like more stronger. And so even though it's very time consuming and can get really overwhelming at times, it's really exciting and very rewarding. Basically, revision and self-editing for me is the most important part of writing a book because that's when everything becomes stronger and that's when my story actually comes to life. Okay, the next question comes from R Cubed, and she asks, do you rewrite first drafts over and over, or are you satisfied with writing one draft and revising that one? So basically, I just told all about my revision and editing process and my writing process. I do rewrite definitely over and over again. I wouldn't really call it rewriting, but I would call it like filling in, like I just said, all the details and everything that needs to be fixed. And but I do that process over and over again before I start on the editing and revision stages. The next question comes from Anna, I think is how you pronounce her name. What is your writing process like? So basically, I just went over all that, so I don't think I need to do that again. Okay, the next question comes from S. Brightly, and she asks, how does the publishing process work? So basically, there are a lot of things that go into the publishing industry. It's kind of hard to sum it into a few sentences. But whenever you write a book and after you finish editing it and everything, You have to send it, research as many agencies as possible that are interested in the kind of genre that you write and that you think would be suitable for you. Read their submission guidelines, send in your query, and make sure that you are finished with your book, that you have edited it as much as possible. Whenever you get an agent, that agent helps you choose the right publisher for your manuscript. Some agents help edit your book, which is what mine is doing right now, before they send the proposal to different publishers. So your agent is the person that helps shop your book to different publishers, and they also help negotiate the contract deals and everything like that. That's why I highly recommend getting an agent first, although that is not the way that I went, but that's just because that's the path that God had for me was different. But whenever an agent finds a publisher that is interested in your manuscript, that you sign with that publisher, then you have an editor that edits your manuscript, and you have a certain date. Usually, after you sign a contract with your publisher, it's about a year before you see your book in print. And so during that year, you are editing your book with an editor with that publishing company. And you are planning all of your marketing strategies and everything like that. You're preparing for your book's release. Whenever it comes out, you have to push the marketing, obviously. It's a really exciting time to see your book in print. And then you set to writing your next book. Okay, so the next question. Kathleen asks, what are some tips on choosing a project, determining if an idea is big enough and would make a good novel? Well, for me, I usually always start with the character first. That's how Purple Moon was born. But the problem with that is that I didn't have a strong enough plot. And so after writing the first draft, I let a couple people read it, and they also said that the plot wasn't strong enough. And so I had to go back and I had to rewrite it so that there were higher stakes, and I had to give Selena a goal to reach towards throughout the novel. So whenever you are brainstorming, just basically you have to focus on the character and make sure that you've given that person a goal and that the stakes are very high. You can't just write about that character's day-to-day life. It's not interesting. And if you yourself are excited about the story, then I think that's really all that matters. You don't have to worry about if an idea is big enough or if it's going to be like on a bestseller. Many of my favorite books actually are character-driven and have a pretty small plot, I guess you would say, but those are the books that I really connect with and I love just because they're sort of relaxing and they're just refreshing, and I connect very well with the character. So just don't worry so much about having a big enough idea. Just make sure that it's an idea that you yourself love, and make sure that you give the character a goal that she's striving towards the entire novel, because that is where the plot is going to be born. Okay, the next question comes from Sarah. And she asks, have you written any stories other than Purple Moon? Okay, well, I'm assuming that you mean after I've written Purple Moon, because before Purple Moon, I've written several stories since I was 3 years old and would dictate stories to my mom. But yes, I've written a standalone novel, which is with my agent right now, is being edited. And I've also written the first draft of the sequel to Purple Moon, but of course, like I said, I'm going back right now and rewriting. I've also written short stories. I've written several different scenes from different book ideas that I've had over the years. I'm starting to brainstorm another novel as well, which I'm really excited about that one, but I probably won't be able to write it until I am done with the sequel to Purple Moon. So the next question comes from Anonymous, and they ask, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about being published? Well, my favorite thing about being published, obviously, is the fact that I am living my dream right now. I absolutely love being an author. I love being able to write, have an excuse to write all day and drink coffee, which is another very big passion of mine. I'm just very, very blessed that this is my job. I couldn't imagine a more perfect job and more suitable job for me than being published. And I love being able to hear from readers, telling them how Purple Moon has impacted their lives and how they got saved through reading Purple Moon. That's my absolute favorite part of writing, because that's my ultimate goal in writing, is to draw readers closer to God, and just to show them how much that He loves them. And so that's what I hope to do as I continue writing books. My least favorite part is probably the fact that it is an isolated kind of job. You're not around anyone unless you go to a coffee shop, which I do love to do while I'm writing. But I just have to remember that I am doing what God has called me to do, and it is a lot of hard work also. Especially the editing process is sometimes can get very overwhelming, and the promotion aspect of it. But all those advantages of being an author, living my dreams, and just hearing from readers, those just completely outweigh the disadvantages and the sacrifices that I am having to make. Okay, the next question comes from Katie, and she asks, do you know of any publishing companies that would consider publishing fiction by teens as long as it's well written without the author having to pay for it? First of all, you should never have to pay for your book being published unless it is self-publishing, of course. If I were you, I would Google publishing companies that do publish teenage writers, because there are some publishing companies, especially small ones, that are looking for young authors to be able to publish. But basically, like, any publishing company would be willing to publish your novel if it is well written. They don't usually consider your age. They just consider the quality of your story as something that they would be interested in publishing. Okay, I want to do one last question, and I think that's going to be all for today. The question is by S. Brightly again, and she asks, how do you determine if a character needs to be cut or combined with another character? For me, I do not like having several characters. Whenever I read a book that has so many characters, I get really confused. I get confused in their appearance. I get confused at their role in the story. I just forget who they are. Every character has to have a specific purpose, whether it is to develop the plot more. I have to ask myself, does this character combine any to the story or to the theme or anything like that? If the answer is no, then I usually just cut that character out completely. And if it works without the character, then obviously I didn't need that person in the first place. If that person wasn't too major, but they did serve a certain role, then I do combine that into a different character that is already there, as long as it's suitable to the plot and to that character itself. Okay, well, that's all for today, so thank you so much for watching, and thank you for sending in your questions as well. Feel free to send in more. As I said, I will probably do another Q&A video because I still have all these questions left to answer. So be sure to keep checking my blog, and I will see you next time. Bye!